So tell us your story, Colleen.
Well, I worked in the financial center, which is directly across from the World Trade Center.
Oh, gosh, you really couldn't have been any closer.
Yeah, so when the first plane hit, I was already in work, and we had to, evacuate the building. But we didn't even know that a plane hit. Our office from London had phoned us and said that a plane hit the World Trade.
Wait, your office in London passed on the information, and so such was the confusion there that nobody realised.
Well, we heard the explosion, and when we looked out the window, we thought it was a bomb because we had originally worked in the World Trade when they first bombed it.
Yeah,
from the
93,
basement.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. So we had to evacuate the building, and then when we got downstairs, the second plane hit.
Can you describe that sound to us?
It was very loud. It was like being on a runway when a plane takes off, being outside of the plane. It was very loud, and you just heard that and people screaming. And they shut down the airports afterwards for a few days. And when they reopened it and you'd hear a plane fly, you were kind of afraid. It was that sound again.
So it's a sound that haunts you?
Not now, because you kind of tend to heal over time. But at that moment, when you heard a plane, you kind of were bending your head down and afraid.
Did you look up when the second plane hit, when you heard that noise?
Yes.
And did you see the fireball?
Yeah. And I seen, people jump. But when you stood there, you felt like you were, here you were 1 minute going to work, and the next minute you were like in a war zone. So you almost felt out of place from reality of what was going on. The only way I could describe it is I felt like I was standing in the middle of a movie set. Because, 1 minute you were up in your office and the next minute you were watching people die in a building collapsing.
And yet it was very, very real.
And I think the saddest part is when I walked up the West Side Highway, and two things I'll never forget is I seen a fireman in full gear on a motorcycle driving down towards the World Trade Center. So he obviously must have been off for the day or not on the truck. And I thought, I just couldn't get over.
Yeah, he felt compelled to go and help.
Yeah, and then the other thing was when I got up Midtown by 34th Street by Macy's, there was a construction site, and the workers were kind of fenced in this area, and they turned their radio up because everything stopped up there. People just stood around not knowing what to do. And he turns up his radio, and on the radio was a man that called in, and he said that his son worked in the Pentagon and his daughter worked in the Second World Trade.
Oh, God.
And she had phoned him saying that she was fine, that they told him to stay in the building. And as he was on the phone with her, he seen on the TV the second plane hit.
No.
And he had said the line went dead, but he still hasn't hung up the phone. And he said, if anybody could just pray for me, I can't imagine losing one but two children. And to be honest with you, every day I pray for that guy.
Yeah. There are no words to fit the loss that man suffered. Gosh. And I can't even fathom, Colleen, what you saw that day and what you went through. And I just wonder how often those events have played over and over and over again in your mind.
probably every time September the 11th comes around. And every time I go home in the summer and visit Manhattan, you know, you stand there and I don't recognize the city without the 2 World Trade Centers. And I probably think about it then. That it, you know, it reminds me, and it goes through your head what you've seen.
Have you always been able to talk about it?
Yeah, I guess probably, well, our job was really good where they had counselors come in from the beginning, you know. So we were able to talk about it with everybody that we worked with.
So you had that release, you had that avenue to express yourself.
Yeah.
But how long did it take before normality, if that's the word, was restored?
I'd say at the beginning, I think I was in shock when it happened. And I know I wasn't sleeping right. But like anything in life, you're busy and you go back to work. I went to a few memorials for people through work. Nobody close that I really knew, but through business. And
would you have any idea how many memorials you've attended?
I think I attended about 3 of them, and they were the most horrific thing I've ever attended. I mean, the only way I could describe it for the families, it just seemed like somebody dropped a bomb on them. Because there wasn't a body there. There was no closure for them.
Yeah, there's no way of saying goodbye then. Yeah.
And I think later on then if you know, a body was found or something, they would have a second memorial. But I'd say, you know, even that you never get through.
When did your own sleeping pattern return to normal?
Probably maybe about 6 months later. With my job, we started working in New Jersey because they had an emergency site set up. But they brought us back to the area when we could work back in that area. And that was really sad, going back to the area, because you've seen the construction workers that were there every day, and I'd say it was horrible on them because every day in that atmosphere, you know, it brings you down. So for us, we were kind of taken away from it and then brought back into the area. But it was sad to see the people that had to be there every day. And then as time went on, they brought the families that lost somebody, like they brought them down for closure. And that was horrible, seeing them come in, because for them, that area, I mean, I'm sure even today with the memorial, they don't want to go to that area, you know.
What will this weekend mean to you?
Probably just to pray for the people that lost the ones, and, you know, pray for the people that were there that were, you know, going to work one day and the next minute losing their coworkers. Yeah. You know, probably just to pray peace for them, and hopefully that it would never happen to, you know, any country ever again.
Please God. Please God. Colleen, how did you, to turn this to a happier note, how did you eventually end up living in Rhode in County Offaly?
Well, on a happier note, I came over to Ireland on work, and I met my husband. And I went back to America for a year, and then we got engaged, and I moved back over here.
Ah, great. How long ago?
And, I've been here for 6 years.
Great. And enjoying it?
Enjoying it, yes.
Brilliant. Colleen, it is an amazing story, and I salute and admire and am awed by your courage in telling it. So thank you very much for the call today.
Thank you for having it on the radio.
Not at all. Pleasure. Colleen from Rhode in County Offaly with just a story that took my breath away. I don't know about you.